Hi, this is Mrs. Davis. This is AP Computer Science. We're working on Lesson 8.1, Intro to 2D Arrays. And we are looking at the last example we're going to look at, which is setting up a ragged array with Pascal's triangle. So if you remember from pre-cal, or if you're in pre-cal, Pascal's triangle is how we expand a binomial. So if you have like 5 plus 6 or x plus 6 to the 12th, you don't want to have to multiply that out. So Pascal's triangle helps us do that. So let's draw one so you can understand how it works. So it helps us get the coefficients for those expansions. But we're just going to try to print this triangle. So here we go. We have 1. It starts out with 1, like a little triangle at the very top, and then it has 1, 1 around it. Now every row will have a 1, and then inner things, and then end in a 1. And how you figure out what goes in the middle is you add what's above it. So if you look here, you're going to put a 1 because you do for every. This is row 1. Let's see. And this is row 0 here. This is row 1. And so it has 1, 1, and then I'm in row 2 now. And I have the outer 1, and then I'm looking, and these two add up to 2, and then I have a 1 to end. So if I'm looking at row 3, I have a 1, and then I'm adding 1 and 2, which is 3, and 2 and 1, which is 3, and then I end with a 1. And so row 4 would be 1, and then I'm adding these 4, 6, 4, 1. And then row 5 would be 1, 5. You can tell what row you're on because you have, it says the row is the same number as you're on. So 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. It's also symmetric. So if you have 10, you have another 10, 5, 1. When you have even, and when you have odd, you're going to have a middle guy like that, 6. So for 6, it's 1, 6, 15, 20, 15, 6, and 1. And again, I'm getting these from here, adding those things above it. So then 7 is 1, 7. And then it would be, 21, 35, and then 35, 21, 7, and 1. And we'll do one more. 1, 8, and then this would be 28, and then you would have 56. This would be 70. Those two are 70. And then back down 56, 28, 8, and 1. So what we want to do is print this triangle. And so this is a good example to kind of put in JGrasp after we talk about it. I think you should have it in there. So we're going to create a class called Pascal's Triangle. Here's your main method. And all it does in the main method is create a 2D array called triangle. And it's going to be ragged, so it just creates the number of rows. So they're going to go out 11. We only went out to 8, so it's going to go all the way to 11. And then it calls a method fill in triangle. So it's going to fill in your ragged array, and then it's going to print that ragged array. So you'll have two different methods, one to fill it in and one to print it. So here's the fill in method. Public static void. It's not we're going to return anything. We're just filling an array. And we are passing it the triangle. Now it's using the same one, but in the array, we have 11. It knows it's going to have 11 rows, and so we have pointing to, this is going to point to this array that we're going to set up inside. So for in I equals 0 to I is less than triangle dot length. Now we have the length because that's what we set up with this 11. So we know we're going to go 11 times for now. So, well, it starts at 0. So it's really 12 times if you think about it. So it's less than the length. So it's going to go 0 to 10. Okay, so here we go. Triangle I. So here we are getting the first row. This is the number of columns in the first row. So we say it has a new to get to, you have to do that to get, set the number of columns, is new int I plus 1. Okay, so it's going to say I is 0, so the first one's going to have one column. And then it says I 0, so row 1, so this is a 0 and a 0 if we're doing the array. So row 0, I is 0, right? So row 0, column 0 is 1, so 1 gets put in there. And then it goes I, so the same row and the same column. It gives you I, so 0, 0, which we already at, but it works for the next one. It's weird for the first time, but it's going to go over top of itself and just say I is 1. And then for int j equals 1 to j is less than I, j plus plus. Okay, so it's going to say j, let's put j, okay, so I was 0, right? And we have not gone past 0. And now j is 1. And so we're going to go till j is less than I, so j has to be less than 0. Okay, j is 1 and j until j is not less than I, while j is less than I. And so we're going to increment j through it. So it says triangle IJ, so 0, 1, okay, is equal to triangle I minus 1, j minus 1 plus triangle I minus 1, j. So if you can see, j is 1. Is j less than I? It's not, so it won't do it the first time. So it won't do it the first time. And so that for loop won't get initiated, but now this next loop, I'm in it again. So now I is 1. Okay, and j went away. So we just have I is 1, j went away because it was in its own for loop. So it's going to make the second row. So it says now triangle I, which is triangle 1, the length of row 1 is new, and it has int I plus 1, so now it's going to have a length 2. Okay, so it made the size of it, and we know this has to have a 1 and a 1 in it. So we know it's coming. So triangle I 0 is going to be 1. So, this is, how it went 1 and then 1, 1, and then the 1 is always the outer one, and that's what it's doing here. This is always assigning the 1. And the other side, I, would be this one over here. So I'm sorry, this one and like this one. Those are the two ones. And then in the middle, it does the middle stuff to put the right numbers in. Okay? And it's going to talk about the one that's above it. So it's not setting it up in nice looking like a triangle. You can tell we're over here looking at it like that. All right, but so that gave me 1 here because that was I 0. I is at 1. And so 1, 0, row 1, 0 is 1. And then row 1, column 1. So this is now column 1. This is row 1. Row 1, column 1 is also 1. So those two got done. And now it starts j is 1. So j is 1. And it says, well, j is less than I. Well, j is 1, which is not less than I, right? So we don't go through it, and you can tell we don't want to because we're still 1, 1, 1. All right, so now it won't go through this loop again. It's going to go back to I, j is going to go away, and I is going to go to 2. All right, so now we're in 2. We set up triangle row 2. I'm right here. I don't know if I'm helping you see this, but anyway, I'm here, row 2, and I am going to create it one more than I, so it's going to have 3 columns. So 1, 2, 3. This gets another thing in another row. All right, so I created it here for the 3rd time through. Erase this so you can see where I'm going here, okay? Let's see. So we're here, we created that, and now triangle I, which is 2, 2, 0, gets a 1. So I'm over here, I'm putting a 1 there. And then 2, 2 gets a 1. So that would be here, gets a 1. So that's getting my outer ones. Okay, and then I am in my loop. I go into a loop, and J is 1. So I have a new J. Let's erase these. Here's a new J. J is now a 1. And it says, while J is less than I. Now it is less than I right now. So we'll go into here, and we'll say triangle IJ. So 2, 1. So I'm at, let me highlight this box. I'm at this box right here. 2, 1 is given triangle I minus 1. So let's just write over that. I is 2. So this would be triangle 1. And J minus 1 would be 0. So 1, 0. So it's going to get this 1. Let me use red. It's going to get this 1. That's 1, 0. Plus triangle, let's go back and say I minus 1. So I minus 1 would be 1, and J is 1. So we're looking at 1, 1. So that would be this one. So adding those 2 up gives me 2, and that goes there. And let's do one more row, because I don't need to keep continuing on. But the first 2 rows sort of don't do the same thing as the other rows. So now we're on to the next set. So here we go. I'm going to erase this stuff again, and we'll go through the next time. Now I is 3. And we know we're supposed to get, if you look, you have 1, 3, 3, 1. All right, so I is 3. And that means it sets up a new ragged array. Row 3 is going to have 3, well, it's really 4, right? So 0, 1, 2, and 3. I'm now here. So I set up the length. Okay, now I'm going to say so 3, 0 is given a 1. This is 3, 0. And then 3, 3 is given a 1. So that's given a 1. Okay? And now I go into my J loop. So J is going to be 1. And 1 is less than 3. So I go to triangle 1. I'm in position 3, 1. So here's 3, 1 right here. 3, 1 is given the 1 above it. See, so that's how they're getting that. So I minus 1 would be 2, 0. J minus 1. So 2, 0 is 1. Put that there. And I minus 1, which is 2 again. And J, which is 1, is 2, 1. And if you look at 2, 1, you have 2. So you're adding those together, and you get 3, and you're putting 3 there. Sorry, 3. I don't have it big enough, so see if I can make it smaller. 3. Okay? All right, so now J goes up to, we did 1, but J is now incremented to 2, and 2 is still less than 3, so we're going to do inside the loop again. So now I'm at 2, 3, row 3, column 2, so I'm right here. And let's erase what went on last time. Now we're at 2, 1, and 2, 2. And so we're looking at adding 2, 1. So 2, 1 is 2. and 2, 2 is 1. So I add those together, and that gives me that 3. So you can see how it's going to keep going for as long as you said you wanted it to be. The next one will go 4, right? It'll have 4 rows. This one will be a 1. This one will be a 1. And then it's going to add the 1 and the 3, 4, and the 3 and the 3, 6, and then the 3 and the 1, 4. So you end up with looking like that. And each time, you know, J sets itself back, I keeps going for as long as you said you wanted to go. Well, so that's filling the array. So that is triangle, and it's filling this array triangle. And then, so it did the first method, fill in triangle. So there's the method for fill in triangle after you do those 2 loops. So it's cool. Now we want to print it. So here's how they're printing this 2D array. So it's called void, static void, because it's just printing something. It's called print, and it passes in the same, it passes in the array because we called it, right? It's the name, the variable, they named the variable the same thing as what we created it as a triangle. So that could have been called something else. That could have been called T, you know, and this one could have been called T. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we're still pointing to the same array, 2D array. So for an I equals 0, I is less than triangle dot length. So this is going to be for every row. And then I'm going to start with J, and J is less than triangle I dot length. Remember, now, why do we have to use I instead of 0? Well, each row, remember, is a different length. And so I need to go get what length my row is. And so this tells me what length the row is. And we were always just using row 0, but now since they're different, we need to use row I. Okay, so row I for each one, because they're, like I said, they're different. Then for every one, it's going to print out IJ plus a space. So it's going to be 1 for the first time. And then, because there's only 1, so J would go from 0 to 0, and then it would go up to 1, and there wouldn't be 1. So then it goes to the second row, and it prints 1 and then 1 with a space in between. Right? Then it goes to the third row, and it goes 1, and then, you know, 2, 1. So it's going to be a straight triangle like this way. It's not going to be a nice triangle that looks like that. You'd have to really work hard to print out the spaces and get that right. But, I mean, it's definitely doable. You could try it. So I do want you to get this in working in JGrasp, this Pascal's triangle. Get that guy printed out. I think it's important to work through working with 2D arrays that way. Now, you do have homework. So go ahead. It's only 1 page front and back. Shouldn't stress you out. And I am going to print out the topic questions. So you should have that and try those. And then we'll go over them the next day.